Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to Sky Teach. As you probably know, today's topic is IELTS, tips and tricks, what, how, why, when. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Lilly and I've been working for Skying since August, and I'm teaching general English, and I prepare people for IELTS exam. So I hope you're going to have a very interesting evening tonight with me, and let's just get going, okay? So first of all, what is IELTS? It is an exam. Oh, I forgot to say. Sorry, it's my first live stream. I'm nervous. Okay, so I forgot to say, I'll do my best to answer all your questions. It's just the thing is that we're broadcasting on several platforms, so I might not be able to see all of your questions, but I'll definitely do my best to address them. Okay, and another thing, the stream is going to be in English. I will do my best to speak as slowly as possible, because I know that there might be people who don't speak English very well or who don't understand it, so I will do my best. Okay, so let's try to start. What is IELTS? It is an international exam which is taken by millions of people every single year. There are two types of IELTS, general and academic. So first of all, to understand which IELTS you need to determine your goals, okay? You will take academic IELTS in case you need to go to university abroad. And this certificate is recognized in the US, in the UK, Canada, Australia, in Europe, so basically all over the world, yeah? This is an exam similar to TOEFL, however, it is mostly paper-based. And for universities, you are going to need academic IELTS. And if you just want to immigrate or start a business abroad, like in Europe or wherever, you will probably need, well, not probably, you will definitely need to take the general one. So personally, I have had and I have both general and academic IELTS students, mostly academic IELTS takers, candidates. So most of them are going to study at university somewhere abroad, like either in Europe or in, I don't know, in the USA. And so their goal is to take academic IELTS, as you already understood. And most of them have scored 6.5, 7.5, luckily. Of course, it's impossible always to score all 7.5 or higher, but if you just work hard, it's quite possible. So let's now talk about the main difference between the general and academic modules. So both consists of 4 sections. The first section is listening. It is about 30 minutes long. It consists of 4 parts, so you're going to hear 4 separate audios. And this section is absolutely the same both for the academic module and for the general one. No difference at all. Second part is reading, which lasts about 1 hour, and it consists usually of 3 texts and 40 questions, just like listening. Listening also consists of 40 questions. But however, this section is different in academic and general IELTS. So in general, texts are much easier, way easier. You just get some random texts on, let's say, evacuation plan, or I don't know, some advertisement which you need to read, and people need to see whether you manage to understand simple texts like an evacuation plan. However, in the academic module, it's rather difficult, I'm afraid. I don't want to scare anyone off, but academic IELTS reading section is the toughest part in this exam. So you will have 3 rather long texts, a page and a half or 2 pages long, and You are going to answer 13 to 14 questions for each text. And there are various tasks and exercises, like true, false, not given, matching the headings, like headings are small titles for each paragraph, and you will need to match the headings with the paragraphs. There are also like tasks like yes, no, not given. The difference between true, false, not given and yes, no, not given is slight. It's very like tiny, but still there is this difference. Also, there is summary completion. So let's say you have a page-long text and you have an exercise. You need to fill in that summary. The summary can be of the whole text, or it can be of just 2 or 3 paragraphs. It really depends on the type of the exercise. Next comes writing, which is also different for the general and academic modules. But in both modules, the task consists of 2 exercises, 2 tasks you are going to complete. So in general IELTS, task 1 is writing a letter to a friend or to a boss or to your university supervisor. So there are 3 types of letters you need to write. One of those 3 types, of course. So you will need to write either a letter to a friend, which is an informal letter, or you will need to write a business letter to a friend, which makes it semi-formal, or you will need to write a formal letter, probably to your boss or, I don't know, to some hotel management, administration, whatever. However, just a second, I'm sorry, technical problem. Okay, I'm sorry. And as for the second task, you will need to write an essay on some general topic. So let's say your general topic can be, for example, a lot of parents and teachers believe that children's activities should be monitored more closely, while others believe that children should be given more freedom. For example, this is a general topic and you need to write about 250 words about this topic. How and what, we will address it later, quite soon. Next, what we are going to do next. I'm sorry, I'm terribly sorry. There is a terrible problem. 1 second. Just a second, please. So I'm terribly sorry. There is a tiny technical problem. Excuse me, please, for a second. I'll be back to you in a second. I'm so sorry. Like, it seems we are having a problem on Instagram, so I will just need to reload something or be back in a second. Excuse me, please. I'm terribly sorry. So Okay. So, sorry, like it seems like there is some tiny problem. So let's try again. Okay, so so can you see me, people? Can you hear me? Yeah, good. All right, so where was I? Okay. So let's go. All right, I was talking about the writing section. So for writing section 2, you will need to write an essay. Yeah, as I have already mentioned, it's some general topic, and you will need to write approximately 250 words on the topic. How and why, what to do, what you shouldn't do, we will address that quite soon. And the final part, which is the same for both the general and academic modules, is speaking. It lasts approximately 15 minutes, and you talk to a person, not to a computer, like in TOEFL exam. So there are going to be 3 parts in IELTS speaking section. In the first part, the examiner will normally ask you up to 10 questions, personal questions. And so I see we have a question here. Okay, I will address it in a minute. So, yeah, the examiner in the first part will ask you questions about yourself, like what do you do? Are you a student? Do you work? Do you like looking at the sky? Even primitive and stupid questions like this. So yeah, anything can be expected. How do you feel about being in crowded places, and so on and so forth. In the second section, they are going to give you a cue card, a small cue card with a topic. The topic can be the following. Describe an outdoor sport you would like to try. And there are points which you need to address. What sport is it? Where would you like to do that sport? How did you find out about that sport? And so on. So the thing is that you will get 1 minute to prepare for the topic. Bad news, you will not have the chance to use a dictionary. You will not have the chance to use anything. So it's just a piece of paper and a pencil and the examiner sitting in front of you. And you are given 60 seconds to think and prepare, and you're going to speak for 1 to 2 minutes. So usually the examiner will tell you, yes, you're going to speak for about 1 to 2 minutes. However, it is truly preferable if you speak for 2 minutes, okay? And if you speak for 1 minute, the examiner is most likely to ask you a couple of follow-up questions on that very topic. And that's it. You are done with part 2. So guys, I see that there are some questions about the essay. As I have told you, like, I'm going to address all your questions quite soon, okay? I will just finish introducing the topic as such, like what IELTS is, and then I will address all your questions. So next thing, part 3. It is the direct continuation of part 2. So let's say if in the second section your topic was outdoor sports, in part 3, they are going to ask you 4 to 5 questions about sports in general. And the trick is you should give general opinion, like general point of view on this very topic. So this means you can give your personal opinion, like I think, I believe, I presume, I assume, and so on and so forth. However, you should try to avoid giving personal examples or personal experience. Okay? Like you can do that, but after you have addressed the topic from a general perspective. Okay. And normally they expect you to sleep at the very beginning of your answer and just start talking about like your personal experience. Yeah, I like doing sports. I would like to try risky sports. Bam, you lose points. Okay, so don't do that. Just don't do that. If they ask you a question, for example, what do you think? Why have extreme sports become popular over the past 10 years? You should start your answer approximately like this. Well, I do believe that due to overworking and spending a lot of time in the offices, people need some adrenaline rush and they do need to go out and try some extreme sports and just to forget about their everyday office routine and so on. Okay, don't say that you have tried some extreme sports or you would like to try extreme sports. Okay, you were supposed to do that in part 2 if the topic was extreme sports, for example, not in part 3. Basically, this is it about the main sections of IELTS. Let me now talk a little bit about, so I have a question here, for and against type of essay or an opinion essay. So there are several types of essay, which I have said, like second part is absolutely the same both for academic and general modules. You are given some topic, you will need to write 250 words about it. While writing task 1 for academic is different. So let's now talk about opinion essay for and against. So let's say your topic, I will just repeat myself, your topic is some parents and teachers believe that children's activities should be monitored more closely, while others believe that children should be given more freedom. Discuss both points of view and give your opinion. So this is your task. A lot of people make a mistake and they address only one point of view, while people, you're supposed to address both points of view. Okay, so you should start with a very nice introduction, which is basically paraphrasing the topic, the task. So you paraphrase the task and you can at the end say like, this essay will cover both points of view, After that, you start your first paragraph, and at the beginning of each paragraph, you should give a thesis statement, like a starting sentence, an opening sentence, which will lead the examiner to understand what you are going to talk about in that very paragraph, in that very piece of your writing. Okay, so let's say that you are first going to talk about the thing that it is actually good to monitor children more closely. You will start like this. Firstly, there are numerous people, parents or teachers, who do believe that children's activities should be monitored very closely. This is your opening topic, okay? This is your opening topic. And another trick in IELTS writing is that you are supposed to make your essay as linked, as coherent as possible. Okay, so your essay shouldn't be jumpy, just like my, like one part here, one part there. Your essay should just simply flow very, very nicely, very, very beautifully. Okay. So when you are done with that, like when you have written your opening sentence, you are supposed to give some examples. You are supposed to support that opening sentence. Why? Children's activities should be monitored more closely. And for this, you are supposed to use linking words and phrases, which are also, it is believed, it is advised, and so on and so forth. Okay? And another thing is you should literally close your paragraph. Okay? You shouldn't leave your paragraph open. There should be some closing sentence. After that, you start your counter argument. Yeah, why children, which is the second part of your topic, why children should be given freedom. And you start your sentence like this. Your opening sentence should sound approximately this way. On the other hand, there are people who strongly believe that children should have some more freedom in order to blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is your opening sentence. We have started the third paragraph. And again, in this sentence as well, you need to support this idea. You need to say why children should be given more freedom. Because first of all, like it will result in children becoming very closed off, becoming very aloof, not communicating with their peers. Secondly, they will lack self-confidence, which is a horrible thing. It might have a terrible effect on their future life, like their career, and so on and so forth. And again, in your second paragraph, in your third paragraph, you need to give a closing sentence as well, okay? Do not leave your paragraph open. Just sum it up somehow. And then you have the conclusion part. So a very important tip for this. A lot of people start giving some new opinion, some new idea in the conclusion. Well, this is a big no-no in IELTS writing, okay? So a conclusion means you just sum up. You just wrap up, okay? You don't start any new ideas. If you do that, it's no longer a conclusion. It's just another paragraph, okay? And in your conclusion, you are supposed, like there is no exact number of sentences you are supposed to write. However, like the normal number is about 2-3 sentences, okay? Just 2-3 sentences, and you just repeat what you have said in your first and second paragraphs, and basically you give your opinion. So if I wrote that essay, I would be like, to sum up or in conclusion or to conclude, yeah, there are various words and phrases you can use. I strongly believe that children should be definitely monitored by parents and teachers. However, they should be given some freedom to avoid the problems mentioned in your third paragraph or whatever. Okay? So this is extremely, extremely important. Do not start a new idea in your conclusion. Otherwise, you will lose 1 to 2 points. That's for sure. Okay, and let's now talk a little bit about writing task 1 for the academic module. So what you have here. In academic writing task 1, you are usually given either a bar chart or some, map or building plan, something you need to describe. Now, there is a very important and vital part about task 1. Although you are given more points for task 2, apparently, task 1 is quite important as well. So you are supposed to write about 150 words on academic writing task 1. Same is about general, but now we are just talking about academic. This is for people who have just joined us, okay? And you are supposed to simply describe the bar chart, pie chart, whatever. There are several types of visuals for academic writing task 1. You are simply supposed to describe them, okay? You cannot give a personal opinion. You cannot. If you do that, you are sure to lose up to 3 points for that. That's 100%, because there is no reason for you to give a personal opinion, to say why you think this happened, why you think, for example, I don't know, the number of children playing sports decreased in 2016 or why it increased in 2018. You cannot give a personal opinion, okay? And again, just like in writing task 2, the structure of your essay is as follows. Introduction, you just very nicely paraphrase your task in 1-2 sentences, but you do not give any personal opinion. Then you are supposed to have approximately 2 body paragraphs, okay? And here, once again, you just describe the bar chart, the pie chart, the process diagram, whatever you get, okay? So another important thing here is you do not describe everything you see, okay? So let's say you have a bar chart which describes the increase of population in Japan from 1950s and its future increase or decrease in 2055. Okay, so there are decades: 1950s, 1960s, 70s, 80s, blah blah blah. I'm sorry, there is some trouble on our Instagram. I don't know why the video has been paused, so I'm apologizing. I hope we will reconnect pretty soon. Okay, I really don't understand what's going on here. Okay, so let's wait a little bit. 1 second, please. I'm apologizing terribly. Oh, I'm back. Yeah. All right. So yeah, and you aren't supposed to analyze the increase or decrease throughout those decades. You should be able to identify the key features. So the most important decades which had the highest increase or the lowest decrease or whatever, the strongest fluctuation, and so on and so forth. Okay, so do not describe every single detail you see in your visual. Okay, and at the end, you are supposed to give a very nice conclusion. However, in this conclusion, you are just supposed to speak about the main trend. The main trend can be, for example, since 1950s, Japan's population has been increasing. Okay, this is the main trend. Or if it has been decreasing, you write that the main trend showed some downward experience. Okay, this is what you're going to talk about. On the other hand, if you have a process diagram, for example, the production of Coca-Cola, okay, the production of Coca-Cola, you are simply supposed to describe, here you are supposed to describe every single step which Coca-Cola factories take in the production of this poisonous drink. I'm sorry, Coca-Cola fans. So you are supposed to describe it. And at the end, logically, there is no conclusion for a process diagram. At the end, you simply write, okay, let's say the final part is bottling. Yeah, they bottle the drink and they put the cap on, they seal it, and they send it to supermarkets. This is your final part of your Coca-Cola production process diagram. Okay, so, and now I would just like, I'm sorry, I will just take a sip of tea. I'm sorry. All right. Now, next thing we're going to talk about, what does the examiner expect from you in your writing section, especially writing part 2, both in general and the academic modules. First of all, good grammar. Guys, I'm serious. Good grammar. This is not just a YouTube talk or whatever you are giving, or it's not just some I don't know, blog post that you are reading. This is an essay, especially in the academic section. So they are checking how good you are at expressing your thoughts grammatically correctly. The second thing they are expecting from you is good vocabulary, advanced vocabulary, sophisticated, if you prefer this word. Okay, so instead of using primitive words like, oh, something bad is going to happen, if children are monitored very, very closely, you can use the following phrase, like a very close supervision of children's activities can have a detrimental effect. Okay, detrimental here means destructive, something really, really terrible. Okay, so instead of something bad, you're supposed to use words like detrimental, destructive. I don't know, you can also write this supervision can result in horrible consequences. Okay, use as advanced vocabulary as possible. Thirdly, the structure, which we have already discussed. So you need to have a very nice introduction with a paraphrased task. Okay, so you shouldn't copy paste the task. You should paraphrase it, which means you are supposed to use synonyms. You can change the positions of some words if it's impossible to use a synonym. But if they find 60 or 70% copy pasted task, you're going to lose points. I know I keep repeating this over and over again, but this is what we have, I'm afraid. Yeah. Secondly, you need to address all the task. Okay. If you have a two-part question, which means if you have two questions in your task, you need to address both questions, not just one, but both. Okay, if you're asked to talk about the advantages and disadvantages, you need to talk about both, not just the advantages or not just the disadvantages. Okay, if you just talk only about one of them, bam, again, we will have a problem here. Okay, and thirdly, you need to write a very nice conclusion, which I have already spoken about. So you should seriously, like you should sum up your essay. You shouldn't start a new idea there. That's it. And another thing they are looking for is cohesion and coherence. So what is coherence, first of all? I have already mentioned it, but I will just repeat. So coherence means how linked your essay is, how linked your sentences are, how linked your paragraphs are. Okay, so you cannot jump from an idea to an idea. If you want to mention 2 or 3 reasons why children should be monitored carefully, you should link those 2 or 3 different ideas with linking words, which I have already said can be like also, as a result, another, and such words. Okay, like there are a lot of good websites where you can find these linking words and phrases. So just feel free to Google, okay, IELTS writing task 2 vocabulary or linking words and phrases, and you will find very good websites. And cohesive. What is cohesion? So it is when the examiner or whoever, like the reader, is able to read your essay without any problems. Like it doesn't take the examiner or just the reader to focus, like, okay, what is he or she talking about in this section? Where did this idea come from? Okay, so it should just flow very nicely. It should flow. And well, basically that's it for the writing section. Now, if you have some questions, I will be more than happy to address. I would just like to apologize once again for some technical problems that we have experienced today. So I hope like you have got some really useful piece of information from me. Now, if you just have any questions, I will be just happy to answer them. So let me see. Okay, so I see that there are no questions. In that case, I could probably speak about listening and reading a little bit, yeah? So, listening and reading. Let's start with listening, probably. So here, as I have already said, you have 4 parts and 40 questions, okay? And you hear the audio only once. Simply, no more than one time. So for this reason, at the beginning of each part, you are given 30 to 40 seconds to read the questions and underline the keywords. Okay, so underlining keywords can help you. It's an absolute lifesaver, believe me, because they speak fast and they can address various issues. So you will simply get lost if you do not underline your keywords in the questions, okay? You're also given about 30 seconds in the middle of each audio, except for the 4th part. So in parts 1, 2, 3, you have 30 seconds twice, okay? First, at the beginning of the audio, then in the middle of the audio, okay? Because usually you have 10 to 13 questions in each section, so they are generous enough to give you quite a lot of time to read the questions and underline the keywords, okay? However, in part 4, you have 10 questions and you are given only 1 minute at the beginning of the task, just to read the questions and underline the keywords. And usually part 4 is considered the most difficult part. However, I will disagree with this, because it's the most logical part. As a matter of fact, it just flows in order, in absolutely perfect order, and you can simply follow it so beautifully and so easily, without any troubles, without any issues. So just take your time, okay? Underline the keywords, and you will see that it works perfectly for you. Another important part is spelling, of course. So for those who don't know what spelling is, it's how you write words. In Russian, it's правописание. Okay, so you need to write as correctly as possible. Okay, so if you make a spelling mistake, oh my god, and my Instagram is again paused. So let's wait a little bit. Yeah, I'm back. So if you make a spelling mistake, I'm sorry, but you will lose a point. So how to train your spelling? Again, you just use Google, and you simply write IELTS listening spelling trainer. And there is a very good website with hundreds of spelling exercises. So you just go there, you listen, you type, you check. Listen, type, check, and keep doing this, guys. And mind you, once again, spelling really matters, okay? It's one of the most vital parts of your success in IELTS. So what you can do if you have problems with certain words. Yeah, in English, there are some words which can really cause a lot of trouble, like embarrass, environment, occur, and so on and so forth. Yeah? So if you're not sure about the spelling, do not be shy or lazy to open a dictionary. Okay, dictionary is going to be your best friend in your IELTS preparation journey. Okay, so open the dictionary, copy paste the word on a yellow sticky note, yellow, pink, blue, whatever color you want, okay, any color. You can even devise your own color scheme for words. Yeah, like you can have yellow for one type of words, blue for another type of words. So you just write that word and you put it somewhere where you can see it all the time, so that visually you get used to the spelling of that word, to how that word is written. Okay. Also, like right under it, you can use that word in some context. You can write some sentence. Okay. So just for you to know the context as well. Now, do you have any questions about listening? I'm waiting for questions. No questions? Okay. So let's move on to the reading section. Now, you have 3 quite big texts, quite big ones. And you have just 1 hour. 1 hour, 40 questions, 3 texts, and different exercises. When I say different, I mean there can be 6 or 7 types of exercises in just one exam. Okay. So what you're going to do here, for each text, you have approximately 18 to 20 minutes. 18 to 20. And first of all, you're going to skim the text. By saying skim the text, I mean read very carefully and try to catch the main idea of the text. Okay, just the main idea. Once you have skimmed the text, you then start, that's right, just like in listening, you just start reading the questions and underlining keywords. So what we have here, you have already read the text once. You know what it is about. Now, when you read the questions, when you underline the keywords, you will find those parts way more easily if you just try to just read the question and just start looking for it in the text. Okay, just underline the keyword because the text is pretty big and they just talk about everything in the text. So it's quite easy to get lost there. So once you have underlined the keyword, let's say, I don't know, environment. You start looking for the word environment throughout your text, okay? But be careful. The word environment can be in 3 or 4 parts in your text. So you need to read not only the sentence that contains the word environment, you need to read the sentences before and after. The sentence which contains the word environment, okay? So because it can be absolutely anywhere and you can simply get lost, okay? You can find a wrong paragraph and as a result, you might have a wrong answer. That's another thing. A lot of people prefer just to read the text fully, like for main details as well, and then just start answering. But personally, I don't like that method. And according to my experience and the experience of my students, skimming the text, then underlining keywords, and only then looking for details is the best solution to this problem. Okay? So this is how you're going to address. Now, as for the reading section, there is an absolutely malicious task called true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given. There is, as I have said, there is a difference between these 2 tasks, but the idea, the technique of dealing with these tasks is just the same. So basically what you're going to do, if you have the confirmation, let's say your sentence in the task is Freddie Mercury went to school in Zanzibar, for example. Okay. If you find a confirmation of this statement in your text, and be careful, you are not going to find a direct confirmation, okay? You are going to find a confirmation which looks like this, so they are not going to give you any direct answers. If you find some piece like, Freddie Mercury went to school, he was born in Zanzibar and he went to school there, this is a true or yes answer. Okay, this means that the information has been confirmed. I'm sorry, and that you're going to write true or yes. So I see we have a question about writing, and I will address it in a minute. Okay, then. If the answer is no, once again, guys, do not expect to find a very straightforward negative sentence in the text, okay? So it can be a very positive sentence with a negative idea to it. And thirdly, the not given part, which a lot of people hate, and I understand why you hate it. So if you don't have any information related to that statement, okay? So if, for example, your sentence says, Freddie Mercury went to school in Zanzibar, let's say from 1955 to 1965. This is your statement, which you need to find whether it's true, false, or not given. If there is no information containing dates 1955 to 1965, it's a not given, okay? Don't make up any information. Don't try to create it. Guys, do not overthink, okay? Overthinking can kill everything, okay? So don't do that, okay? This is basically about reading. Now we have a question about writing, so I will read out the question and then I'll try to address it. So how should I improve my writing? Should I rewrite the written essays from the books? Oh no, again, we have a problem on Instagram. So I will just wait for it to reconnect. Welcome back. Sorry, we had some connection issues here. All right, so the question is, how should I improve my writing? Should I rewrite the written essays from the books to learn how to write academically, or should I keep writing on my own every day to improve my writing skills? Now, this is a great question. Whoever you are, thank you. So this is not a bad idea, rewriting essays. However, if in the exam they see a prepared response, and they are going to see it, you will lose points. So my advice to you, just read those essays, okay? There is a very good website, IELTS-exam.net, if I'm not mistaken, or .com. Just look for it on Google, okay? It's a very good website. It contains a lot of essays, both general and academic ones. So if I were you, I would just keep reading. Okay, I would just keep reading all those essays. And if there are topics you have zero idea about, your best friend is some sort of TED Talk or YouTube channel which addresses like that topic. Let's say animal testings in makeup industry. Yeah. So if you have zero experience on that topic, if you don't know how to talk about it, just go and watch some TED Talk or YouTube talk or whatever, and of course try to read some essays. Once again, I wouldn't recommend rewriting those essays because that would kill your creativity. So writing part 2 is all about your own writing, your own ideas. Okay? So just try to be as creative as possible. As for reading, like I didn't go to a tutor. For just 1 month, I was working like extremely hard on my IELTS. And as for writing, I swear, until the very day of the exam, I didn't write a single essay. I swear to you, my final score, my final band for the writing section was 7.5. I wrote my very first IELTS essays on the day of the exam. I was just like, I had just been reading various essays. That's it. So the link to that website, I don't know how to give it. Just a second. I will try. Yeah, okay, I will write it here. 1 second. I will just check on my computer. Okay. IELTS. Wait. IELTS exam. Yeah. So it is, I will type it here, okay, IELTS exam.net, okay. So I have sent this link on our Instagram chat or whatever. You will find it. For those who cannot see it, I will just say once again. So it's IELTS exam.net. On the left hand side of the page, you will find the categories. Sure, I will repeat the name of the website as it has been requested. So IELTS, that's IELTS hyphen in the middle, okay? Exam, EXAM .net, N-E-T, okay? It's pretty easy to find it. And as I have said, on the left-hand side, you will find categories, okay? Like IELTS, general writing, task 1. You will find about 160 essays for each category. And so basically I have a lesson in 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, guys, try to ask them now because I'll be leaving you soon. My final advice to you, you should do your homework, okay? Like you cannot rely only on your classes with a tutor. You should do as many tests as possible. You should write as many essays as possible for your tutor to check, give you some advice, because believe me, there is always room for improvement, okay? There is. If you think that your IELTS essay, like the one you have written, is perfect and your tutor is just, I'm sorry, being a bad person and giving you low grades for it, you are wrong, guys. Your tutor definitely knows why they are correcting your mistakes, why they are commenting on the structure or whatever, okay? So basically IELTS is 50% English, 40% skills, and 10% luck and concentration, okay? If you want, you can put the concentration part in that 40%, I don't mind. But basically, again, we have a problem on Instagram. What's going on here? Come on. We have a terrible problem on Instagram. So I'm terribly sorry to those who are watching this on Instagram. Like, I don't know what's going on. Okay, I'm supposed to be back soon. So my final advice, do your homework, okay? Because if you just rely on your teacher, you will not score more than 6 or 6.5. How to improve speaking? Okay, so here we have a question. As in case of writing, again, watch some TED Talks, okay? Because the way you write is usually the way you speak, or the way you speak is usually the way you write. So as for speaking part 2, guys, record yourselves. Just record yourselves, okay? Because when you listen to your own speaking, you manage to identify the mistakes you have made. And you also manage to maybe find some like flaws or drawbacks in your speaking part. Also, you can just simply read some pieces of information on certain topics, like famous sports person. Yeah. Like I was really scared I would get that part in my speaking because although I like sports, but I'm not really a huge fan of any certain sports person. So I would just pick someone, like for example, Henrik Mkhitaryan, the Armenian football player who is currently playing for Arsenal. And I would just read something on his life, about him. And then I would just speak to myself. Okay. Don't be afraid to speak to yourself. That's a lifesaver. If you have no one to speak to, you can speak to yourself. Why not? That's a good improvement. And I have numerous examples of how people manage to improve their speaking just by speaking to themselves. So it's not a schizophrenia feature or anything. It's just a way of improving your language skills, your speaking skills. Okay. And listen as much as you can, because when you listen or read, your brain just absorbs correct structure, whether you want it or not. Like your brain just absorbs the correct information, the correct way of expressing your thoughts in English, in Italian, German, whatever language it is. Okay. So that's it. Any other questions? We have about 2-3 minutes. So come on, guys. If you have questions, address them. No? So basically, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. Like it was my first live stream, and as you can tell, like I was really nervous and anxious. Honestly, like I'm not used to talking on the camera much, like this. So thank you so much for your questions. I really hope this live stream was useful. I don't know, if you want, you can simply say what you would like SkyTeach to talk about related to the topic of IELTS. Yeah, if there are any specific points you would like us to cover, probably. And yeah, just hard work, preparation, determination, and your 7.5 is guaranteed. Okay, or even 8. So one more important thing, if you are an intermediate level student, like level 4 student, you might find it a little bit difficult to start preparing for IELTS. So your level of English should be about upper intermediate and higher. Okay. If you are an intermediate level student, it's not impossible to prepare for it, but it will be way more challenging. So I have 2 pieces of advice in this situation. One, either take some general English classes and improve your general English, because you're going to need, as I have already said, like a lot of vocabulary, a lot of good grammar. And secondly, if you really need to take this goddamn exam and go to university or go abroad and start your business or whatever, and you are an intermediate level student, so my advice to you, prepare intensively. I'm not a huge fan of intensive courses, but if there is this need, then yeah, the intensive preparation is the solution to this problem. So you should prepare you should take about 6 classes weekly, which means it can be like 3 days a week, 2 hours long, for example. It's about 6 classes. And I would say like it would take you about 2 to 3 months to prepare, depending, like, of course, it depends on your determination, on your wish to get 6.5 and higher. Okay. So I know that you hate the idea of doing homework. Well, not all of you, but a lot of people hate it. But homework is the key to your success. So the more tests, the better the result is. Okay, so this is all from me. Thank you so much once again for coming. Thank you for putting up with me and bearing with me for 1 hour. So I wish all of you a very good evening, and hope to see you again, or I hope you would like to see me again or whatever. So thanks a lot and see you. Goodbye.